Alright, Trial Mob, so big news this week coming from Acid Rain, Marauders. We even have some stuff from Joytoy as well, and some stuff I haven't necessarily spoken about before, but just massive announcements. If you're into the 118th game, there is just so much coming your way, and we're going to get into it right now and break it all down so you guys can be up to date with the most recent news. Alright, let's go ahead and break it down. Alright, Trial Mob, so to kick everything off from Acid Rain. So if you know about Acid Rain, you know that they are a series of 118th military figures set in a dystopian future after a nuclear fallout. Now, that has been the main narrative, and if you didn't know, they have a full website, they have stories and lore, and some of the actual sets that we've gotten, like the Taste of Coffee and things like that, have all been stuff that we've gotten based basically on stories and lore in the Acid Rain world. However, it seems to be that Acid Rain will be revamping the entire storyline, including updates to their website, making it cleaner, making it easier to find things. And on top of that, if you guys are aware, they did drop a beta of a basically strategy game on called Acid Rain World Grey Dawn. Now, it was only made out in Canada for their beta, but they're going to push a worldwide release this year, 2022. This is going to include a host of new features and a whole bunch of other things that are supposed to basically make the game that much more accessible. Now, here we're going to take a look basically at what the website looks like. Go ahead and just watch what is currently on there. So this is what it currently looks like. These are the things that we have available to us. Some of the story beats, some of the other things, especially when it comes to like artwork, lore. This is where you would go to be able to read some of the lore, like the Taste of Coffee and other things. But it seems to be that Acid Rain is going to completely revamp all of that, including new stories, some of which we've already gotten a prologue to. And on top of that, they are going to be giving us a host of new figures, which is going to be incredibly awesome. Now, what is really nice is that a lot of you have been asking for basically a Bucks team, and while we did get a walk in the park, they aren't necessarily the original figures made new. They are kind of new figures altogether, and while that is nice, they basically all came together at a fairly high price tag, so I understand that many of you were not able to pick them up. Well, that changes because Acid Rain itself has decided that it's actually going to give us a full setup of the new Bucks team. Now, whether or not that means we're going to be getting the Walk in the Park figures in individual packs, or if we're just going to be getting their original looks, just again separated, I'm not quite sure, but it'll be very nice to see. It's going to be really, really cool to see everything that Acid Rain is going to be bringing to us this year. Basically, all kinds of lore, new figures, a game that we're all going to have access to that's going to have plenty of story, extra story that might not even be necessarily on the the website itself. So special content that we will have access to with the game. Now, why is this so badass? Why is this so damn cool? So here's the reason why. What Acid Rain World is doing here is creating a way of life, basically a lifestyle. They're adding a video game that you'll be able to play, a website that will allow you to get a lot of lore and be able to take a look at all the figures that are even out and some of the ones that will be coming in the future. This will give you a reason to play their game. It'll give you a reason to check out their website. It'll give you a reason to buy their figures. I wouldn't be surprised if as they announce new figures, they'll announce, new battles and new other things in the video game itself. So maybe we'll get a new mission, we'll see a new kind of unit, and then the new unit will be dropped for us to buy in the future. So things like that allow us to have just an entire community that is not just based on buying the figures, but also completely delving into the world of Acid Rain at basically our fingertips, right? On a website, on anything. And that's something that's really, really interesting to see them do. Now, on top of that, they already released basically their next wave of figures. So we've seen these guys before. These guys are the Mishaku and Naren that we've gotten before, but this is going to be basically a repaint. The lore behind this is that basically they are having some kind of festival and they need to be protecting I believe the queen. And what's happening here is that they're basically wearing their festive gear while trying to protect her from basically marauders, raiders, and other people that would want to do do any kind of damage to her. Now, I think that this is a really nice set. It has some really cool looking paint work. We obviously get to see two figures that have been fan favorites since they were announced in a new garb, and we don't get, like I said, it's the exact same body, the exact same swords. It's just a total repaint from top to bottom, and it's kind of cool that we're also getting their faces that are also painted. So they're not at all the same figure. These are very different figures in terms of just the overall paint and paint scheme. So that's really nice. You're not getting something that's just slightly different, like let's say a different shade. These are very different, and then these aren't just random variants like a player 2 variants. These are in fact in-game lore accurate figures, so that is nice. However, the only thing that I'm willing to say here is that I think it's a little too early for them to be giving us a repaint. I don't quite remember getting repaints before, at least like these, and I understand that they're not necessarily repaints. These are technically their own unique story-driven outfits, but I just think it's a little early. I think they should have taken this chance to instead given us figures that are from the Owls, like other figures, and just given us either a different head or potentially given us just a different helmet, you know, something that made it look a little bit more like it was another named character from the Owls, or even an unnamed character. I would have done an unnamed character with just a helmet, and we could have called it just a regular Owl agent. I think that they should have gone in that direction instead of doing this, because I know there's plenty of people asking for more to fill out the ranks of the Owls themselves. But as you saw, the blue color looks really nice. The red color looks really nice. They come with these clubs or bats. I don't really know what you want to call them. I guess they're clubs. I do not like them at all. I think they're some of the worst ideas to come out of Acid Rain personally. So I would like to see, I mean, there's nothing to change. These are just the way they're going to come. And these are a Pia Club exclusive. So again, this is just how they're going to show up with these weapons. But I do hope in the future, Acid Rain decides to do something different with these clubs. Again, I don't like the way they look. I think it would be much better for them to give us something different. But I do like what they've done with both swords. Both swords basically have this yellow, vibrant look to them. Makes them look a lot more like lightsabers. I think that that's really badass, especially considering that these guys are basically ninjas from the Japan era. And of course, what's really nice is that even if you just decide to buy the set and maybe make them your own random 2 figures, maybe put custom heads on them, they do come with their own other heads that you can put, again, on anything else that you have from the Republic of Yamamoto stuff. So this looks really nice. I think that this is a really cool look overall. Again, it's their same heads we've gotten before. They just have those E-Honda, I don't really know what they're called, but E-Honda has this kind of face tattoos on them. And so these guys look, again, really incredible. There's just a certain look to them. They just look extra like warriors, like deadly, deadly warriors. And it kind of showcases their face just that much more. So again, I really like what they have going on here. Again, but I'm just hoping that they're not going to give us any more repaints moving forward. This is the last one, and moving forward we'll get more named or unnamed but unique Owl characters to fill out the ranks of the Owls. Again, even on the box artwork that we got for these two for their original release, show at least 2 other figures that come in this pack. But again, they do look great. I do like the new colors, but I just think that this is something that could have waited. But if you didn't get the first set, now you have your options, because these guys are still available right now on Big Bad Toy Store, Pia Club. Or if you don't want the original, these ones right here could be the next ones you get. And now you have options. And I'll admit that at least in that way, Acid Rain is aware of the options that they are offering you. So it'll be up to you to make that decision. Now, on top of that, we're also beginning a weapons pack basically for the Soil Ghost. I believe this is also, it says it right there, it is a Pia Club exclusive. So this is going to be a bunch of basically melee weapons, spears, tomahawks, axes. I mean, that might not exactly be what they're called, but that's basically what they are. And we have a few shields as well. So we have a really nice array of stuff that they're going to be adding to basically the Soil Ghosts, but you will be able to use them across the board with anybody that you want. And that's really cool. I really appreciate the fact that they are kind of filling out those ranks, giving us a lot of weaponry to choose from. I kind of wish they weren't all colorful the way they are, but there is a little bit of lore behind that, so I'll let it slide. Now, I'll be honest with you, that first set I'll probably end up passing up on, but this set right here, no chance. I was planning on getting the Soil Ghosts, and most likely we'll be buying all of them. I'll give them a chance. I get the idea that once they're in hand, I'm really going to love them. But what I'm really enjoying here, what I'm seeing here, is that we're going to be getting a Real Guns weapons pack. There's a few sets coming from the Soil Ghosts where it's just some dudes with basically like spears and axes and no actual weapons. In the world of Acid Rain, you need to have some guns. So the fact that we're going to be getting these ones right here is much appreciated. This is going to be something that I'll have to buy, and with just buying one set, you've basically ensured that all the Soil Ghosts that you will be getting will basically have a ranged weapon of sorts, and they're modular. As you can tell right there, there are three, well, not three, the middle one is them separated and then them basically put back together in a different set. That kind of modularity is absolutely incredible, and I really like seeing that because it just shows us that in the future, very much so in the future, Acid Rain could give us other weapons that are also modular. So we've seen that before, right, with the commandos that we got, the ones that are from the United States. Basically those commandos come with two guns, a carbine version of their rifle and then the rifle itself. Now imagine if you could just have a modular version of that, or that you can just kind of pull off if you wanted to and make it differently. So that's something that we could see in the future, and that's basically what they're showing us here, that there are options in the future for more modular weaponry coming out of Acid Rain world, and that, my friends, is absolutely badass. Now when you get something that has, let's say, a sniper, you'll be able to get two other rifles out of it, and that's just something that I cannot wait for them to implement into other Acid Rain world products. Alright guys, I'm now switching over to the Bandai Shodo Super. This guy is from the Power Rangers. I believe it's called Jungle Fury in the English version, but it's called, I believe, the Gao Rangers in the Japanese version. We have the Demon Duke Org Roki. Now, this guy was an absolute powerhouse in the show. I remember that when I first watched this show, this guy, every time he was on screen, literally kicked the hell out of the Power Rangers. This was probably one of the only villains that I ever thought was most likely going to actually win against them, because he was just an absolute powerhouse. He was basically like the Green Ranger from the first season of Power Rangers. He'd pull out a flute, look at the screen, and these guys would explode in the background. It was just OP as hell, which I absolutely loved, and I always dreamed that they would make a figure out of this guy, and we're finally getting it. Now, if you do know, the Shodo Super brand does make basically 1/18th scale figure, so this is something that's a little smaller. This is something that you'll be able to use directly with your other Acid Rain stuff, with your Joytoy stuff. This is just really dope, and it looks to be a lot of articulation going on here, a lot of personality. Again, this guy's really, really good looking overall. He really captures the essence of the figure that we got, or I shouldn't say the figure, but the actual overall design of what we saw in the actual series, in the actual show. So there was a lot of cool concepts in that series, so I'm hoping that we see a little bit more of that in the future as well, and that they build it out. But articulation doesn't seem to be an issue here. And even more importantly, it doesn't look like he's going to be short any accessories. So it looks like he'll come with the flute that he had, which is hilarious. He'll also be coming with two blades. I'm not exactly sure the difference in terms of the way he used them in the series. I haven't watched it in so long. I'd have to find something on YouTube, unless maybe he had two, but I only ever remember seeing him with one in hand. And then he comes with what looks like 2, 4, 6, 8 different pairs of hands, including two fisted ones. So I don't know if that is separate from the two that already come on the figure, but if that's the case, he comes with a total of 5 pairs or 10 fists. So that's obviously something that's super badass to see, especially considering that I've never purchased this brand before, so I'm not sure what it is supposed to come with or what it's not supposed to come with. But again, it's really nice to see that there is a lot going on here for the figure, especially considering the price point. I do believe this is going to be a little bit of a premium, and that's going to be kind of up to you whether or not you want to buy this brand, because I imagine if they ever made an SH Figure Arts version, it probably wouldn't be too much more expensive than this. And you'd be getting a bigger figure, potentially even with more articulation and things like that. But if you're looking for something that is 1/18th scale specifically, this will be your best and potentially only bet, to be honest. And it's probably going to be a really nice figure overall in terms of the quality. Bandai seems to have fairly good quality control. So again, something to note. But again, this is just something that for me might be one of the first Shodo Supers that I end up purchasing, because again, this is kind of a dream come true for me to see this guy in figure form. Now, switching over to Joytoy. Now, as you guys know, I did mention earlier in some of the community posts that these figures basically, and by the way, if you want to see those community posts, make sure you are subscribing. But with that said, I did show you guys before what these guys look like, and here we have them basically fully painted. Man, these are really good looking figures. I'm pretty convinced that at this point these guys aren't going to be Borderlands. Like, there is no joint IP going on here where we're getting Borderlands via Joytoy. This is just Joytoy's take on Borderlands, and I think that they're doing an absolutely incredible job here. I love the body that we're getting here. I love some of the cyberpunk aspects of it, but also again that Borderlands aspect of it as well. That Mad Max vibe that they are absolutely hitting to a T here. I think the overall aesthetic of this guy looks great. I think some of the paint apps look nice, and the articulation, as far as I can tell, is going to be incredible. That arm does seem to go noticeably past 90 degrees, which is great. Again, you do get that newer kind of larger wrist joint, which allows you to get a lot of mobility there. Again, that's great. And then just a lot of detail front and back, which Joytoy never skimps out on. Now, of course, Joytoy never makes just one figure. It usually makes a few of them. So he does get a partner, a second gentleman who is, again, just this cyberpunk, I wouldn't even say cyberpunk, I guess, but steampunk-ish sort of tribal-looking figure. I mean, man, there's just so much going on here. The colors and the armor, the skin itself, the helmet, and then this guy comes with some kind of bear or wolf pelt on top of him. Oh, must buy. I usually say that a lot, but I really mean it. This is a really, really good looking figure overall. It comes with, we don't know yet what they come with. This one right here, as you can tell, doesn't look like it has any gun on it. Maybe it has something holstered, but whether or not he's going to come with some kind of axe, spear, something else to go with that kind of tribal looking motif, I'm not quite sure yet. Now, as you know, Joytoy never basically stops at any expense to give you something that looks good. And I actually kind of like that in the background. You can see it on the computer where they're most likely putting it all together. And again, that wolf pelt goes down. We're going to call it a wolf pelt. I don't know what it is, but that wolf pelt goes halfway down his back, which again looks very nice. There's a lot of detail to it, a lot of grooves, a lot of paint. Now, obviously, when it comes to Joytoy, we all know that the final product never looks this good. But it's usually nice to kind of gauge how good it could potentially look. Even if it's, let's say, 80% of what we're seeing here, that's still a damn good looking figure overall with a lot of potential. Now, to push the envelope even further, we're also going to be getting a female, we're going to call it Borderlands figure here. And again, this is pre-plastic, so we don't really know what she's going to look like when she's fully painted, but she does look really nice overall. A lot of, especially this one, just has a lot of grooves, a lot of detailed artwork here. Not artwork, but just a lot of grooves. Just, you can tell that they really did a lot with this character, a lot of engineering here. This is not easy to do, especially at this scale. So the fact that it looks as good as it does just goes to show you how far they're going with this line. And as you can tell, there is some kind of, I don't know, Borderlands style like spear at the bottom left right there. I imagine that that's not her weapon, that's one of the other guys. But that kind of gives you an idea of what kind of weaponry we will be getting moving forward. But again, the overall aesthetic just looks great, and I cannot wait to see this fully painted. And to be honest, what the entire lineup is going to look like. Now, to push the envelope even further, they're also going to be giving us basically these kinds of motorcycles and things. Again, I almost want to say this is less Borderlands and maybe more Mad Max, especially now that we're starting to see things like this chopper right here, this motorcycle that is a Joytoy 1/18 scale figure on it, so that you can get an overall taste of what that kind of figure would look like on this. Who knows what this is going to look like when it's painted, but honestly, if you were thinking about buying the Soil Ghosts and you were looking for Joytoy's answer to that, I feel like this is their answer right here. Now, it also looks like we'll be getting another figure, or excuse me, another motorcycle here. This is going to have a carriage on the right with a turret on it. Again, really good looking stuff. I'm wondering, and this is kind of what I'm thinking, right? You know how we get mechs, and in those mechs we get basically pilots to come with it. I wonder if on top of that we're going to be getting stuff like this, where we'll be getting motorcycles and figures that come with it. So That is a catch-22 there, where it's nice if you can get it all together, but that also means if for whatever reason you were thinking maybe I just want the figure, needing to buy a mech or something to come with it is kind of rough, because now you have to pay way more and you have to basically commit to a lot more of a figure than just, let's say, 1/118 scale soldier. So I mean, it is again very nice to see if they're going to do something like that, but it would also be nice if we can potentially get them separately packaged. And then again, here we get a nice little look from the front of the actual motorcycle itself. Again, looking real good. I like that kind of skull with the horns on the front fender of the motorcycle. Again, going with that Mad Max theme, that Borderlands theme. I really enjoy that. All right, now switching over to Eagle Force, the Monster Force. So this is going to be a BBTS exclusive. Now, you've seen me talk about Eagle Force before, but damn, this is something that I think I'm going to have to cop for sure. I don't mean to be that guy, but I've been looking for some kind of werewolf figure to buy in terms of just military sets, or for them to at least implement them certain ways. But the Kilowog is just incredible looking, from the armor itself that he's wearing, the uniform that he's wearing, to the actual guns that he actually comes with. Hopefully articulation doesn't take a hit at the size that it is, but you get him basically at his normal human look, helmeted look, and then obviously with the werewolf look to him. And oh man, this just really speaks to me. Now on top of that, we're also getting this Crimson Moon Legionnaire, and this guy seems to be a more armored version of what we've seen a second ago in terms of the overall look. Now he comes all black, but again we do get the same gun, 2 pistols this time around, and again the same human look head, one that's armored up, and then on top of that the helmeted, and then again a fucking werewolf, bruh. I cannot believe how badass this looks, man. I've always wanted werewolves, and again, the fact that we're getting not even the same one, right? This looks like a slightly different werewolf face. So that means you'll be able to buy multiple of these guys and make them look like they're multiple different guys. They could have simply have rehashed the same head, but seeing something a little different just absolutely speaks to me again in terms of having your own little werewolf army. And I like the fact that it's a BBTS exclusive, as they're usually a bit more easier for us to get here in the States. Now this one right here is the Crimson Moon Commander, Count Iron Moon, and again this is going to be something fairly similar. This guy looks less armored than the rest of the guys, considering I guess he's the commander, but fear not, because he's still a damn werewolf. So regular head, helmeted head, werewolf head. I want to say this one, it might be a rehash of that first one that we got, which is fine. The uniform is completely different. I don't so much mind if some of the other pieces are similar, though I kind of wish we got maybe legs to make them look more werewolf-like, but you know, I think that this will be okay. The 2 pistols that he comes with definitely don't look like normal guns. Here they're going for a little bit more of that 007 style of weapons, so that's fine. Again, I really like what they have going on here. Now, this is known as the Monster Force, not the Werewolf Force, so we're also going to be getting Crimson Moon Aquatic Troopers, the Gorgils. So kind of like the, not the Loch Ness Monster, what am I thinking about right now? You get what I mean, like an amphibious reptilian creature that stands on 2 legs. Now this one comes with no weapons, so I guess this is supposed to be sort of a melee, I don't know, what would you say, a melee specialist. So that's interesting. I don't necessarily know if I want this one without any weapons. I feel like they could have at least given him close combat weapons, but maybe the claws on his hands are enough. Potentially. I do like the aesthetic. I do like what's going on here. I just don't know if I would necessarily prioritize this one over some of the other ones. Now switching over to the Marauders. So with the Marauders on their Kickstarter, what they've done is that they have partnered up with a designer by the name of Skeletron, and he is making these new kind of G.I. Joe-esque sort of futuristic sci-fi-esque figures that we're seeing here. And what we have right here is the Marauders Red Shadows Skeletron, and he looks absolutely amazing. I like the reds, I like the silvers, the lightsaber looking blades. Whenever you see color on a blade like that, it definitely looks more like a lightsaber. And then the pistol that it comes with, very futuristic looking. Again, I really like what they have going on here, and I appreciate the fact that while this kind of looks like one of those Terminator robots, at least it has more of that. It doesn't have that skeleton body that those had. These look like actual humanoid looking characters with a full body, and I like that way more than the T-1000s from the Terminator series. Now here we have the Marauders Red Shadows Wolf Trooper. Now we have seen a few of these before, but this is in a different color. So the one that I think I've shown you guys before is in red, or actually what I've shown you guys before is in green. This one's going to be in red, and I don't know, the red just speaks out to me a lot more. I like the helmet, the jetpack, the gun it has. I don't so much care about the two blades that go on the forearms. They don't look bad. I'm not going to say no to it if they obviously add it in. I'm just saying I kind of like the trooper look a little bit more than the melee look. Now on top of that, this one is on backer kit. I'm not familiar with what backer kit means. I do believe this just is something that, again, this is supposed to be on their Kickstarter, so this might be one of those things you get if you basically pledge a certain amount to them. I believe up there it says $25, so that could be the case right there. This is the Marauder Red Shadows Geyer Wolf, and this right here is just an incredible looking figure. Now this guy that we're seeing right here is a little bit of a different kind of figure, so the coloring is different, the helmet is different, but this is more what it looks like to be a named character. So this isn't just a regular figure. This right here would probably be more of a general leader type figure. So again, something that's a little bit different. It looks really cool. I think the overall aesthetic is nice, and then again, it's really cool to see that, and actually I'm not really quite sure why that head is right there. That's kind of illuminated like that. If anybody knows a little bit more on that, please let me know, as I have limited access to a lot of this information. And then on top of that, we are getting the assassin skeledrons, which, man, these are really nice looking. I definitely see some Cobra, should I say, some Cobra influence here. So again, really nice looking stuff. I really hope that we do get to see this in a more mass release market. Now on top of that, we're also getting the Robo Knight heavy metal armor. Now I'm not quite sure what this is. I imagine this is kind of in the same essence of what we just saw before. So it'll be these smaller kind of, you could say, floating heads that are supposed to be able to, like, I guess, attack. I guess think Sentinels from Halo. That's basically what these, I imagine, are. Unless these are like full size and you're supposed to be able to fit an actual action figure inside of it, which would be absolutely crazy. So I'm just going to assume that that's not the case, but again, if anybody has a little bit more information on that, again, I have limited information on this, please let me know. Now on top of this, they'll also be giving us a flight stand. Now I'm not sure if the flight stand comes specifically with this figure that you see right here. Again, it is a good looking figure overall. I'm not too sure about what's happening with these ones right here, but the fact that they are giving you a flight stand is a really nice touch to be able to add to your collection. And again, I'm not certain on the size of these. I really want to say that these aren't supposed to be all that large, but if you imagine that a figure could potentially fit right under that space right there, then this actually is a fairly massive piece that you're going to be adding to your collection. This is basically their version of TIE fighters, which the fact that they're giant flying skulls is pretty fucking hardcore. Alright, Trial Mob, so there we have it all. Acid Rain World is going to be coming with just massive updates. Are you guys buying into it? Are you guys going to be getting the new game? Are you going to be downloading it if it's free? Are you ready for all the basic content that we're going to be getting, including lore from the ARW lineup? Are you going to be getting any of the other things that we've shown here? I mean, as you can tell, Joytoy is doing plenty of things. Other companies like Eagle Force and Marauders. This is definitely the golden moment for the 118th community to kind of come together and become a more mainstream, more wider audience. All those kinds of things that can come with channels like myself and other channels, basically getting your guys' support when you guys are able to like, comment, and especially subscribe, as it helps out my channel and every other 118th channel that you might be paying attention to. So I appreciate that you guys spent some time with me today going over all this stuff. Again, let me know what you guys are most excited for, but until then, I will catch you guys on the next feature.